Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel DV Coding. We will create Angular Crud with Web API tutorials. Angular. What is an Angular? Angular is an application design framework and development platform for creating efficient and sophisticated single-page apps. Angular is a development platform built on TypeScript. Angular have modules and components. Module. An Angular app has a root module named App Module, which provides the bootstrap mechanism to launch the application. Angular have app.module.ts file. Component are basically classes that interact with HTML file of component which displayed on the browser. How to create Angular project from scratch. Some important software you need to install our machine: Visual Code, IDE and editor for writing your code, Node.js, and Angular CLI and npm install. After that, you will be install Angular CLI command. npm install -g @angular/CLI. You can check the version of Node and npm and Angular CLI. Let's open the cmd command prompt. You have checked the version Node -v, that is a 14. I have already installed npm and Visual Studio and npm Angular CLI command also. Checking the Angular version also. I have already installed 13.1 Angular CLI and Node 14.18 also installed on my machine. You have also created Angular CLI npm install -g @angular/CLI. I have already installed this command, so I have not required. Now I have to create a Angular project. ngFor creating, and project name is Angular Crud. New Angular Crud, that is the project name. This command will be running. Would you like to add Angular routing? Yes. You have choose the CSS and SCS. npm installing. Continue. npm package installed successfully. Created Angular project. You have to enter the Angular folder. cd Angular Crud. Code.command is for opening your project in Visual Code. And please enter. Your project in Visual Code. That project will be created and contains the src folder. You have opened the src and contains the apps folder. Apps is containing the app routing module.ts files, that is routing of the project, Angular routing, and another file is app component.html, that is the base file. So that is the base component of Angular project, and that is the CSS files, and also app.component.ts file, that is the TypeScript file of the components, and that is the app module.ts file, that is the root module file. This depends on the how to work Angular. And index.html is the main root HTML files. It running the Angular project. Component have, that is a selector app root, and component will be running in the index.html file you have using the selector. Selector name is AppRoot, that will be calling in the index.html. You have checked this. How to run your Angular project? You can run Angular project. Command is ngserv, starting the server of Angular. Compiling of project. Project compiled successfully. Angular live development. Server is listening on port number 4200. You can run browser and checking the output. Your Angular project. That is the Angular project. Angular project running with the initial files. I have to remove unnecessary code from this app. App component.html file. You can remove unnecessary code. And checking the output. Angular Crud with Web API tutorial. I want to create an Angular list with dummy data. So I have created a component for Angular list binding. G for generate, C for component, and component name is Angular Crud list. This command created 4 files. That is, the first is HTML file. That is, the second is testing TS files. Third is component.ts TypeScript file. Fourth is CSS files. How to call Angular Crud list and app component HTML. So firstly, you have understand how to work routing in Angular. So I have creating a routing in routing module. You have defined the routing in app routing.module.ts file. Path blank, that is component Angular Crud list component, and user list, that is the path, also binding with Angular list component. If path is not matched, that will be redirect to the Angular Crud list component. And roots, that will be imports roots module.for root roots array. You have checking the output, that is also working. If you entering URL without user list, also path is not matched, also Angular Crud list is working. So if you are entering /user list, that browser redirect to the Angular Crud list. I have creating a design for user list. Table th that is name, username. I have created the dummy table design, name, email, address, mobile, gender, and department. And I have applied the CSS. I have copied the CSS, table CSS, like copies, typing the Angular Crud CSS. You have entered class name, You have copy class name, put into the class variable. Now I have created the dummy data in TS page. Open the TS component. You have created a variable user list any type of array, and I have created the dummy data from the list. I have created dummy data. You have created dummy data and pasted array. I have prepared the dummy data user list and also bind the this data will be bind on the HTML tables. The user list is the variables. I have iterate the loop over the user list. ngFor. This is the structural directive in Angular. You have iterate the for loop with the help of ngFor. Let user of user list I have used interpolation for binding the dynamic data of user. This is called interpolation in Angular for binding the data from the TS page to HTML. You can check the HTML table list. Yes, I have seen table data will be binding. I have created dummy data. I think table must be in line out to center. Yes, table is aligned in center. This data will be defined in the user list array. How to use JSON files in Angular? You have to create JSON file in assets folder, creating a new folder, data, and creating user list user.json, copy and paste user list array, cut and paste it in user.json file. This data will be called user list data will be called from the user.json file. Assets folders is outside folder of the app folder. Creating the configuration and define the path in angular.json file. If you change any angular.json file, you will be restarting the server of Angular. ngSer, restart again. Yes, compiled successfully. You have checked the output, but the user list is not showing in table. If you are fetch this JSON data, you will be creating a service in Angular app folder. You have creating another folder, services. You have creating a service in service folders. G for generated, S for service. Service name is user. Your service name is user. You can check the service name in service folder. Your service has been created. Service name is user. I have created one method, get user list. That will be return type is observable, and you have creating a constructor in HttpService. Type of HTTP client. You have import @include HTTP client. Return type is any. You have to call this .httpService.get method. That will be written get method. Get method will be the string URL. You have type data/user.json file. This is the path of JSON file. You have created the dummy data JSON format. Method will be written observable. Observable is the return type of any services. This method will be called in the Angular list component.ts files. You have creating a variable HTTP user service you have creating method get users. This .http user service .get user list. This method will be written the observable, and you have received the subscribe. Subscribe return the data just like a variable. Data will be received. Get user list, which will be written this service. This user list equal to data. You have called this method in nginit output. Yes, I think one is error. HTTP client, no provider for HTTP client. Yes, app module is not non-user services. So you have include HTTP client module in app module.ts file. App module.ts file. You have import HTTP client module. You have checked the output. HTTP error. You have checking the error. Data.user.relation. I think path is wrong. You have changed the path. Assets data user.json file and data of JSON file. This will be showing on the browser. That is the first part is completed. Angular Crud list bind with the dummy data. Second part will be coming in. Data will be dynamic from the database. Thank you.